Hey guys, Happy New Year. It is Ijeoma Kola, and I have a special guest with me here today who is
husband Jonathan.
In the first video on my channel of 2020, we're going to be sharing our birth story. So our son was born in December on Christmas Eve, so it's exactly 1 month that we've been parents. We have survived so far, and today we want to share with you the story of how he actually came into the world. Most people typically do this solo, but I'm having Jonathan here because I actually was like out of it for most of the time, so he remembers a lot more of our labor and delivery story than I do, so he's here to kind of like fact check me. Also, I mean, it is, although like I did like the actual work, like it was a joint effort. He has been by my side throughout the entire pregnancy, went to almost every single appointment, did childbirth classes with me, so he definitely, it's like also his story, not just my story. So that's why he's here, although he doesn't want to be here, but that's why he's here.
I'm very happy to be here.
Oh wow, that was kind. Before we jump into the video, if you're new here, hi, hello, what's up? I am from Nigeria, but I lived in the US for 27 years before moving to Nairobi about 6 months ago now with my wonderful husband, Jonathan, who is from Kenya. And one of the biggest questions that I had throughout my pregnancy journey that I've been sharing on YouTube, on Instagram, on the blog, is where are you having the baby? Are you having the baby in Kenya? Are you having the baby in America? So before we even get into the story of the actual day, or 2 days, I just want to clear that up first. So we actually ended up deciding to have the baby in Kenya, and here's a couple of reasons why we did that. First, the things that we were considering were cost of medical care, the quality of medical care, convenience, and like proximity to families, like the emotional aspect. So the financial aspect, the actual healthcare aspect, and then the emotional aspect. A lot of people kept on saying like, oh, you need to have a baby in the US for citizenship. That wasn't a concern. I'm a US citizen, so it didn't matter where we had the baby would still be a US citizen. But I just wanted to quickly say, I think that especially amongst Africans, just thought that like life in America is so great, and healthcare in America is so great, and why would you ever like not have a child in America? And I just want to debunk that myth, because I found that my prenatal care and the actual like birth experience in Kenya was absolutely top-notch and probably better than the care I would have received in America. I am a public health researcher, and the stats of C-sections and maternal mortality for Black women in America is actually quite poor. I had fibroids. So my doctor in America, while we were still there, kind of told me from jump that I would likely have to have a C-section, but I ended up delivering naturally in Kenya. So just wanted to throw that out there because I feel like that's just a huge misconception. There are great hospitals all around the world. If you are thinking of moving out of America to another place, and having kids is one of the factors that is kind of making you hesitant, don't be so hesitant. Do your research, find a good hospital. Yeah, I think I've rambled, but that's just the point that I want to clarify, that we had the baby here, felt very comfortable doing so. It was a lot cheaper. It was really nice to be able to be close to family on both sides, because my parents were able to come in. Okay, so I was actually due on December 17th. So by this time the 24th rolled around, I was a week late, or our son was a week late. And Jonathan doesn't like it when I say that. I don't know why. Why do you not like me saying that he was late?
Because it made you anxious. And once the day came, then the day after, 2 days after, I feel like the anxiety didn't help.
That's true.
And it's really arranged, as I understand it.
It is arranged. It's actually more likely, especially for first-time moms, that you will go past your due date. But I had friends who were like due close to me, who had their baby before me. People who were due after me, like already had their baby by the 17th. So the 17th came, no baby. 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, no baby. I had no signs of like labor at that point. My cervix was not a phase. My water hadn't broken. I had no bloody show, like nothing, like no signs of anything happening anytime soon. On the 22nd and 23rd is when I lost my mucus plug. Like I lost it over the course of 2 days. So that actually made me feel like, you know, maybe something's happening, but I wanted to speed it up a little bit. And mind you, my parents had come from America to be here and to like see the baby. So I think my dad was supposed to travel on the 24th or 25th. And 23rd came around, and I was like, there's no way that my dad has been here for almost a week and there's no baby. Like, he came for no reason if there's no baby. The other thing is that my doctor said that the earliest she would induce me was like at 41 weeks. So I was like, girl, we ain't got time to get to 41 weeks. So I started Googling like natural ways to induce labor and came across this very controversial topic, which is castor oil. So on the internet, there's a lot of people who say that castor oil can induce labor. Some people who say that it's a terrible, terrible idea and it like messes with your body and it also causes diarrhea and like might not even give you contractions. But I was really, really desperate. Like, I was really, really desperate at this point. So I was like, let me just try it. The recipe that I saw was called a midwife's brew. So it included castor oil and almond butter, and apricot juice, which I couldn't find. So I like got some, it was a lot of stuff in there. So I came home and I think before dinner, I was like, okay, I'm gonna take it. And you were really like not here for it. He was all about like, let it come naturally, let it happen naturally. But you weren't carrying the child. So I was tired. Like, I was exhausted. I was over it. It was time for this baby to come. So around like 5:30, I blended everything together, and I drank the midwife's brew. And I was ready for the consequences. Like, if it was gonna cause diarrhea, like, yo, I was ready. I was home. It was okay. Like, from 9, I started having like regular-ish contractions, and I was like, guys, I think it's happening. I think I actually like did it. I think that's happening. Yeah, just started having contractions. We were timing them. What else were we doing at home before we left?
Took a bath.
Took a bath apparently. During my appointment, something that they told us was that if you are like having labor at night, to just like hold off until past midnight, because if you check in before midnight, they count that as like one night already and kind of goes against the number of nights you can stay in the hospital. So I knew that we weren't going anywhere until past midnight. Around 1 a.m. I was like, all right, it's coming on strong. I'm feeling them. It's go time. It's go time. So we drove to the hospital. It was pouring. It was like pouring that night.
Yeah, it was raining really hard. The transformer outside also blew out.
Oh yeah. It was super loud and scary.
Yeah, so that happened, and the rain, couldn't see the road, 1 a.m.
Yeah. And then the roads are bumpy. If you guys aren't like don't live in Nairobi, there are a lot of road bumps, speed bumps, and there's speed bumps like all the time. And so I'm like having a contraction, and then there's a speed bump, so I'm jumping up and down. It was that car ride was not fun. But it luckily only took us about like 15-20 minutes to get to the hospital. At what point we checked in and was examined, and I was 6 centimeters dilated. So I was super happy about that because people typically dilate 1 centimeter every hour. So I was like, oh, bet, like it's 6 centimeters, you know, it's only a couple more hours, like we can do this. The contractions were really strong, but I'm a G, so I knew from a long time ago that I wanted to try and give birth naturally and deliver naturally. I was willing to like ask for pain medication if need be, but I figured, hey, let's just see if you can do it by yourself. Also, before we got to the 3rd trimester, we had actually taken a class, a hypnobirthing class, which was really about like positive affirmations and positive ways that you can think about like labor and positive ways that you can, positive phrases that can get you through labor. And we took that class together, and that the knowledge of the hypnobirthing combined with my like, let's see if I can do this attitude made me go in knowing that I didn't want to have any medication. I was gonna try to do it without any meds. So get checked in, 6 centimeters. I'm like, all right, cool, great, we can do it. It's happening. We get moved into the labor and delivery room after the triage, and Jonathan was in the room with me as well as my mom. My dad was also at the hospital, but he wasn't in the room. My water never broke. My water was actually broken in the labor and delivery room. She did a membrane sweep, which is really, really painful actually, and like nobody tells you about. I remember that being painful. And yeah, as the contractions would come, I was never in the bed. I never laid down until the very end. We'd walk around, I would squat. There was like a birthing stool. I would squat in that. I would lean against the bed. He would rub my back, or my mom would rub my back. I honestly can't remember what the contractions felt like, so I would love for you to describe like what it sounded like, what you saw, because for real, when they said that you forget the pain, like I forgot. I really like I can't even tell you. Like, yes, I'm sure it hurt, but like I can't even tell you like what it felt like because I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, what was it like?
So you can't remember the pain at all?
I mean, I can remember being in pain, but I can't articulate like what level of pain that was, and if it was like excruciating, or if it was like a little bit, or like when did it become excruciating?
Wow. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It sounded pretty bad.
Well, like from
Actually,
what
sounded
point
pretty
did it
bad.
sound bad? Like from jump?
No, from I think a few hours then as it got closer,
Yeah.
as it became more dilated.
Yes.
Sounded
Okay,
like
yeah.
You, it sounded like you weren't going to make it.
Really? Like I wasn't gonna make it, like I wasn't gonna live, or like I wasn't gonna make it without medication.
Yeah, it was bad.
But what is
It
the
was
it?
bad.
What is the it?
The pain seemed extremely bad. Yeah.
This is why it's helpful to have him here, because I feel like people are like, oh, I had a pain-free childbirth. This is probably like what I would have said. Like, I had a pain-free childbirth, I did it, and like apparently I remember screaming. Okay, so let me backtrack. So 6 centimeters when we got checked into the hospital at 1 a.m. Then I would say we like got moved to the labor and delivery room. The next time I was checked, I don't remember what time it was, but I think I was like 8 centimeters or 9 centimeters. I think I thought it was 9, but you said it was 8. I swear it was 9 centimeters. But the next time I was checked, I don't remember what time. Do you know around what time? I don't know.
Around 4. Probably around 4.
Okay, so yes. So around 4, it was 8, 9 centimeters, and it's go time at 10 centimeters. So, and it really supposed to progress from 8 to 9 to 10 pretty quickly. So I feel like every time the nurse came in and told me how far along I was, I felt like I was almost done, which made me feel like I could actually go through it, because I don't know, when you're close to the finish line, like if you're running and you just see the last 100 meters, you get an extra kick. So I kept feeling like,
Sometimes.
okay, if you pace yourself right. So I kept feeling like, okay, it's almost here, like I can do it, I can like push through. But then another hour would pass and like nothing would happen. So eventually, I think I remember around like 6-ish is when I got, when they came and checked me again, and they said I was still at 8 centimeters, and I was livid. I was like, how have I not progressed? In 2 hours, I've been having contractions, like this has been hurting. How have I not progressed? And like, I don't believe you. Can you check me again? And they couldn't check me again because once your water is broken, they don't want to go in there too often because that can cause infection. So I kind of was just like, I guess just laboring. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like I don't remember what was happening at this point. I think I now this is when I started to fall asleep. I would like fall asleep. Was I sleeping through contractions? Okay, so I'd wake up. Tell me what happened. I don't know. I was sleeping.
I mean, you weren't fully asleep, but you were very delirious.
Yeah.
So you close your eyes and I'm like, oh, okay, thank God, she can rest a bit. But 2 minutes later, you're up again, but you're still very drowsy. The pain comes, then you say something.
Oh yeah, apparently I was saying weird
something.
things. Like, what was I saying?
You were just mumbling. sleep mumble.
I don't remember that.
So just in and out, which that seemed, as the labor progressed, the combination of the pain and then not sleeping, tiredness, physical effort, I think it just added up and compounded until it was just like, wow, okay, this is not a joke.
So I reached a point, you don't know what time I was like, I want an epidural, I want a C-section.
You said it multiple times.
Okay, but there came a point where I think someone had come in and was like, how are you doing? And I was like, listen, I don't care. I want an epidural. I want a C-section right now. Like, I can't do it anymore. And they were like, it's just too late. Like, it's too late for an epidural. It's too late for a C-section. And I remember yelling that I want an epidural. I want a C-section. I can't push. I just want this baby out of me. And they were like, sorry, like, the only way for it to come out is for you to push.
But I think they handled it well, because once you ambushed the guy and told him that you want a C-section,
that's
an
true.
Epidural, he said, okay, let me just go and check, knowing very well that it wasn't possible. So he killed some time, about an hour, then he came back and delivered it very nicely, saying that, okay, you're almost there.
Yeah.
Now the only option is just to push. And then soon after.
Right. There was also a shift change with the nurses, which I think contributed to the delay. So I feel like I really could have started pushing at 6, maybe 7. Like, I really felt like, they say your body tells you when you're ready. And yes, my body was like, you can push, but they were like, no, you're not dilated enough yet. And so I think that's what frustrated me. And that's what made me feel like, well, if I can't push, then y'all got to cut this kid out of me because I can't do it. Like, I'm too tired. After the shift change, the male nurse, when he was the one in the room when I was like, I want epidural, I want a C-section. He was like, but then he came back and then he was like, okay, let's see what we can do. Like, let's see like if you can push. And so then we were able to start pushing. The contraction started around 9 p.m., 9:30 p.m. Got to the hospital at 1 a.m. and like it was time to start, I think, pushing around 9 a.m. So I would say that the whole process was about 12 hours for me. I was in labor for 12 hours. Oh, another thing I forgot to say is that, I'm the worst like I'm the worst at remembering this. So I had gas and air, so no pain medication, but I had gas and air, which I feel like is not anything, but it's like this tube. I guess it's like oxygen, maybe?
No, it's...
I thought it was going to be laughing gas, and it was not laughing gas.
It's something with nitrogen.
I really thought it was supposed to be not laughing gas. I thought it was supposed to be like hee, and like, it did nothing for me. I think it just helped me time my breathing. So as a contraction would come, they would say like, breathe. I think it was like, hoo, 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 like breathe through it or whatever. But that breathing through an apparatus made my mouth very, very dry. So I was super thirsty and I kept on drinking a lot of water, which then meant that I kept on peeing. So I distinctly remember peeing like 17 times on the table, like everywhere. So that was,
It's all good.
Once it was time to push, I had been given a heads up that a lot of people poop on the labor and delivery table, and I was one of those people, and that's just life and nature. I remember like my mom tried to cover me up before once the shift changed. It was a male nurse and a male doctor, so like a lot of like men in the room, and she was like, oh, like cover up close your robe, and I was like, no, I don't care, they've seen it before, because I just wanted to be like free, like I wanted my legs open, like I was like really trying to like push and get this child out. So it turns out that why the process had taken so long, like why his head hadn't gotten engaged in time, is because the cord is actually wrapped around his head, but we thank God, as soon as his head popped out, they quickly unwrapped the cord from his head, and like he put him under the heat lamp for a little bit, and he was totally fine. So yes, we had our baby before 10 a.m. on the 24th. Was able to get him here before Christmas. That was also really important to me. I didn't want to be in the hospital on Christmas, or ended up being in the hospital anyway, but I didn't want to be like laboring on Christmas Day. Ugh, oh my gosh, like the worst. It sounded like the worst idea. My parents both got to be there, so I was really happy that my dad could see the baby. His mom was able to come, so it was a really good experience. Okay, how was the experience for you?
It was intense. It was an intense thing. But at the end of it, once the baby comes out, it's a priceless moment.
It is. Oh, there he is now. There he is now. I think it was a really positive experience. I would encourage people who are like are thinking about like natural birth. Like it's very possible. It's very doable. So it's been a month now with our beautiful baby boy. He's absolutely adorable. I know everyone thinks that the kid is cute. He actually is like really, really cute. Unfortunately, we won't be sharing him online. Just gonna keep this to ourselves. I know that I have been super, super open and super, open and transparent about like the whole pregnancy and like other aspects of my life, but he's a baby. He doesn't have any sense of the world. He can't make a choice about whether or not he's shared or shown. So we decided that we're not going to be sharing him for the time being. Maybe things will change at some point, but for now,
when he's 18.
For now, he's just going to be our little joy and treasure and gift. Anything else you want to add?
Nope. Oh, should I add something?
Yeah, you should. They're always a rhetorical question. Do you feel any differently about me? Do you view me any differently? Do you put some more respect on my name?
Oh, of course. Of course. It seemed like you were in a lot of pain.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I was even asking the nurse, now, what can we do? This is how things are. And he was like, yep, that's why it's labor. So.
But we did it though. But there's no prize. If you want to get the epidural, girl, go ahead and get the epidural. If you want to have a C-section, like whatever is best for you, whatever you want to do, it's your body, your choice. So there's no prize for doing it without any medication, except that I just now get to brag to him. Like whenever he says he stubbed his toe, I'm like, Okay, cool, because I delivered a whole baby.
Pain is pain.
No, that's a lie. That is a bold-faced lie. Pain is not pain.
That's
There's
true.
pain and then
That's true.
there's levels.
There are levels.
And I will always be able to hold that over you. That I have sustained more pain than you have. More physical pain.
Than all men have.
Yeah, but specifically you. I don't talk to all men. I talk to you. Anyway, so before we end the video, I had asked Instagram for a couple of questions. So I just want to go through the questions and make sure that I've covered everything. I forgot to talk about once the baby came out. There's actually surprisingly more. It's not just the baby comes out. The placenta has to come out. And then something that really, really sucked that came out of nowhere, was not expecting it, was that the nurse now like pushed down against my abdomen to help clear out the like rest of the gunk from the uterus. And that hurt so badly. I feel like that hurt more than actually pushing the baby out. Maybe because there was like no point. At least pushing the baby out, like there's a baby that comes from it. Anyway, the other thing is that I did tear. Someone asked me on Instagram about tears. I did tear. I suffered a second degree perennial tear, which I had to get stitched up. They did that right after. I guess he delivered the baby, delivered the placenta, pushed down on my uterus to get the rest of the stuff out, and then sewed me up. Sewing up wasn't painful. I was just like staring at the baby. Was I staring at the baby or was I holding the baby then? I think I was like looking at the baby as they weighed him and did whatever. Those healed up super quickly. I feel like it did take me a couple of days to feel comfortable enough to go to the bathroom, but it didn't hurt when I went to the bathroom at all. I will have a blog post eventually about postpartum / fourth trimester must-haves because there are a couple of things that I had for myself for like postpartum care for my body that I think are super crucial that every woman should have. Just gonna give you a tip now. Freedom Mom's post-labor or labor delivery kit must have. Like those, they have like ice pack maxi pads that were just like amazing. Yeah, someone asked if we had a birth plan or did you wing it? So we did have a birth plan. Some of the things that were on our birth plan was that I didn't want to be offered pain medication. Like I didn't want people to pressure me to take medication, but I wanted to be able to request it myself. So that was on it. Having my husband and or my mom in the room at all times was on it. They both ended up being there for like most of the time. The ability to labor in any position, not having labor on the bed. But there was something that was on the birth plan that didn't happen, which made us realize that they never looked at the birth plan. What was it?
I'm sure many things that didn't happen because in that situation, you're just doing what needs to be done.
Yeah. So I say all that to say that actually I do think a birth plan is valuable, I think, for yourself to help reduce any anxiety about the process, to kind of know what you want out of it. However, in the moment, it's really hard to be like, oh, well, actually, like I wanted the cord not to be cut right now. Like a lot is happening and you aren't really thinking about that. So, but I don't think that you should go in without a birth plan. I still think that you should kind of set your expectations. Not expectations, set your ideal scenario, because I think that reduces the anxiety and the uncertainty around it. But just know that things might change and be comfortable with the fact that things might change. Does labor feel like bad period cramps? Yeah, but like front and back, yeah. Did it hurt a lot? So it hurt, but I feel like you moved past it. Like, I don't know, a month later, like I'm not really, even I feel like an hour later, I wasn't like, oh my gosh, that hurt so badly. I was just holding the baby and just like loving on him. And so it didn't matter. It didn't matter after the actual baby is there. The pain is irrelevant. So what is something that no one tells you about labor and or delivery? Do you want to take that one?
Okay, what do people tell you? From what you've told me, the procedures afterwards seem pretty painful. When the whole sweeping seemed like very painful.
Yeah, so I feel like there are aspects of labor that aren't contractions and aren't pushing that are also painful, and people don't really talk about that. The most painful thing out of everything was when the guy pushed down on my stomach after the kid was born to clear out the rest of the blood and tissue and whatnot. That hurt like hell. That I remember that. That hurt. That hurt a lot. Also, no one told you that you pee all the time. Also, I feel like I could have just used chapstick and it would have also helped. I don't know. I was so dry and so thirsty, and I had to have peed like more than I had peed in the past month in that room. So, thank you for sitting with me.
Doing the video.
All the above.
Okay.
Welcome. Yeah, so guys, thanks so much for watching this video. If you liked it, subscribe. In a couple of months, I might do a 4th trimester like recap video. So if you have any questions about this period and this time, feel free to let me know. A couple of people have requested a day in the life with a newborn video. I have to think about how I can record that without actually showing said newborn, but I'm thinking. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and thanks again for watching. We'll catch you next time. Bye.